Guillermo, Emil, Amok to you. Welcome to my takeout, my Emil Amok's takeout, my takes on all things considerable. And there is a lot again today. It's Thursday. Usually it's a lot on Friday because they dump the news so you get it on Saturday that no one watches or reads or pay attention to news on Saturday. So you know it's a pretty bad week when we're getting news dumped on us today, Thursday, for Friday when it's still a business day. And today, Kristi Noem, right, is she went to the quarry and the dog fired back. The dog fired back at Kristi Noem. Um, it's almost too easy, right? Kristi Noem gets fired as the head of Department of Homeland Security, as the secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and all the dogs are cheering throughout, not just the nation, the world. She had that hearing, so we knew she had it coming to her, but something was up. And then suddenly, just like that, as things happen, hey, here's a war, here's a firing, here's a. That's the kind of administration we have in the USA. For The Apprentice, you're fired. That's the Donald Trump way. That's what happened today. That's the big news. Meanwhile, is it enough to make you forget about what's happening in Iran, in the Middle East? I told a joke about the bombing, and people are still kind of like, is it really happening? It's so far away. It's a remote war. It's not boots on the ground, and it's not our boots here fighting in our land. I mean, that's when it's really terroristic and realistic, and we feel something. But I found people kind of like, oh yeah, we're bombing there. I still find people are kind of remote and distant. Anyway, we're talking about that. My friend Professor Daniel Phil Gonzalez is here to talk about DHS, the future of DHS, Kristi Noem, all that. First of all, I want to say thank you if you listened to my show with Martin Dockery yesterday. We just did a little talk here, and it was truncated. You can find it on YouTube and on my Facebook page, but it was truncated at 15 minutes because I had some real technical difficulty, and Martin was so kind to sort of vamp for, until the time I had to say, look, we're pulling the plug. And then we got, I fixed it and we reconvened and we did another 30 minutes just talking about the Rogue Festival. He's at the Rogue Festival. The Rogue Festival is this theater festival, the Rogue, in Fresno. I happen to be there myself. I'm there March 7th, this Saturday at 12:30 p.m. at the Fresno Arts Annex, 814 East Olive Avenue. He's at Diana's Dance Studio Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday. So he's got 3 nights coming. I only have one on Saturday, March 7th. Go to FresnoRogueFestival.org for ticket information about my show, 69 Emil Amok, Saturday, March 7th at 12:30 p.m. And also Martin Dockery's show. He's at, here's a QR code if you want to use a QR code. That'll get you to my page. But Martin does a show called Stakeout. He does Wonderlust, and he does The Review. So two-man plays, which are really exciting if you like that kind of tension and banter, 2 characters going at it, sort of like a Glenn Ross meets Secession is how he described it, I think. I think that's how he described it. Anyway, I might be mistaken. He did mention Glenn Ross, so it's kind of Mammety, kind of Beckety, kind of Dockery-y. It's Martin is a playwright, so you see the 2-man thing with Stakeout and with The Review, which is about 2 men, one superior to the other in a management review to see if they still have a job. Interesting. And then the third play, Wonderlust, which was actually his first one-man solo play, I think he said 15 years ago. Wonderlust, it's a kind of travel journal. It's a direct address solo performance. That's what Martin does. Check it out. Go to FresnoRogueFestival.org to get tickets and make sure it's Martin that you're looking for. Then I do this show, right? Emil Amok 69, March 7th, 12:30 p.m. I'm at 814 East Olive at the Fresno Arts Annex. And my show is, of course, about My Trump derangement syndrome. Am I finding a cure for it? It's not easy. Fun show though, fun show. And then, in case you're saying, well, Emil, I may not make it here. What do I do then? And what you do is you go to see me in San Francisco. Yeah, I'm doing a show, and you see it crawling in the bottom there. I'm doing my next show called Emil Amok Anchorman. Emil, you weren't an anchorman, were you? I was briefly in Washington D.C. March 14th, 15th, 16th, and 19th at the Playground SF Playground. Go to playground-sf.org box office and check out Emil Amok Anchorman. I talk about the news. I talk about my relationship to the news, why being in a relationship to the news is absolutely crazy during times like this, but you are engaged in life. And so I talk about Emil Amok Anchorman, The News Made Me Do It, why it wasn't a matter of getting fired from news positions. It's I left the news. The news didn't leave me, and I wanted to be a satirist. Is that the word? A comedian? Is that the word? A humorist? A comic monologist? So catch that story. That's at San Francisco, and you see it crawling on the screen. That's my next one-man theater show after 69. Emil Amok Anchorman, March 14th, 15th, 16th, and the 19th, four times there. And that's the show that I'll be doing this year, and then, talking about, once again, my life in a semi-neurotic way. But it's about the news, and it's about how to deal with the news, especially in the news today, and how to not just deal with the content of the news, but how to deal with the news coming in this rush, this mad rush. So it's fun. It's fun. It's free. Did I mention that show is free with donation? So maybe you'll make a big donation. I mean, you don't have to give up the mortgage to your house or anything like that. Certainly not in San Francisco. But, I do want you to know that it's by donation, which means, yeah, I can just, throw some money in the hat and go see Emil perform. And, it benefits the theater, benefits myself. It's at the SF Playground. It's in Potrero Hill. And it's, once again, March 14th, 15th, 16th, and 18th. Or, excuse me, 19th. So 14th, 15th, 16th, that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, right? 14th, 15th, 16th. And the 19th, I believe, is a Thursday. All at different times, but good times. And it's a comedy. It's a kind of semi-improv. It's my next solo show. All right. One thing before I bring Dan up, the latest is that the House has turned back an effort to try to restrict Trump's war powers in Iran. You had a handful of Democrats joining Republicans, which is the surprise. They defeated this bill that would have forced President Trump to go to Congress for approval. So some Democrats were just conservative enough to cross over and say no. The lead in the New York Times is the House voted down an effort on Thursday to halt the war against Iran and force President Trump to go to Congress for authorization as a small block of Democrats joined nearly all Republicans in delivering an early sign of support for the war in the Middle East. And the vote was 219 to 212 to block consideration of a bipartisan resolution that would have ended offensive military operations in Iran that had not been approved by Congress. And that's significant because this could have stopped the bleeding, at least from an American perspective. You have 6 dead already. And this shows that Congress is willing to go along with the Senate and say, yeah, we're not going to act like Congress. Congress has the power to declare war. But you know what, Mr. President? You do what you want. 219 to 212 is the vote. That is kind of semi-depressing. really. And that's really top news as I speak today. But now the big news that dropped a couple hours ago: Kristi Noem was fired by the president. There was Kristi Noem speaking. Let me bring up my friend Daniel Phil Gonzalez, uh, professor emeritus Asian American Studies, College of Ethnic Studies, San Francisco State University, and a good friend of the show. Here he is, Professor Dan. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Good Thursday afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course, of course. Sorry, we had a little delay because of the internet was all screwed up here. Usually it's screwed up where you are, but now in my neighborhood. So Dan, let's just begin with the big news. Congress had a chance to say no to stop Trump, and enough Democrats came over to join Republicans to say, no, no, we're good. President Trump can do what he wants. And the
Yep.
vote was 219 to 212. That's how close it was. I'm a little disappointed in the Democrats. The small band that joined in. I'm trying to find. Oh, here. Um, let's see. Four Democrats. Let's see. Four Democrats: Henry Cuellar of Texas, Jared Golden of Maine, Greg Landsman of Ohio, and Juan C. Vargas of California broke with their party. And that's the way it goes. Four Democrats. If the four Democrats joined him, it would have been maybe a little closer. It would have been 215 to 216. Ooh, that would have been a message, but it would have still passed, or it still would have been blocked. So
Yeah. No,
so
this was the Democrats. Not a surprise.
yeah,
I'm a little surprised at how many, but I suspected at least three or four,
yeah,
and the reason is pretty clear. They might not like that the Trump administration and Mr. Trump himself, the president, didn't have a clear legal foundation, right, for
mhm,
this war. But he does have executive power to be able to enter into a military action.
an emergency, an emergency.
Yeah, yeah,
And this was a war of choice because the international law says the danger, the threat has to be imminent, and there was no
there was
gun
no
to the
reason.
head of anyone.
So even though there's no all of the rationale that have been thrown at us by various
Mm,
members of the administration,
yeah,
including the president, right? Even though
mm,
none of them, okay, have any foundation,
mm,
uh, the reality is we're in it. We are in it. We're at war, and I think a lot of the Democrats are feeling, okay, he's got us into this mess. We have to finish it. We have to get it done, and so we don't want to do anything that will hold back following up military action, because
mm,
we got to get the Iranians to stop. Okay,
yeah,
now we're stuck, and we've gotten all of the local allies in the neighborhood, right, of the East Mediterranean, and all of the Arab countries that are in the same region as Iran are now taking hits, uh,
yeah,
and then the Israelis, of course, have to strike back against Hezbollah, for example, in Lebanon, and so there's a back and forth there. Essentially, what you have again is at least a two front, if not multiple front war.
yeah,
And this is completely predictable, but I don't think it was within the considerations. It was among the considerations of the president himself. Some
yeah,
of his advisors may have had
yeah,
these kinds of things in mind, and the likelihood that these scenarios could occur. That's what we're all taught
yeah,
in the State Department, in international relations, in the military. You all learn about the possibility of multiple scenarios as a result of a given action.
yeah.
It doesn't seem as though they had that in mind.
but they had this idyllic notion of a Venezuelan type of
Oh man.
war, right? And
Oh
it's the
yeah.
same thing like the first Gulf War, right?
The
The
in
first
and
Gulf
out.
War,
It was going to be an in and out, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, the first Gulf War also, remember push button,
Yeah. Well,
like when Manny Pacquiao
yeah.
fought Buddy Hatton, and
Isn't
just
isn't it the in and out? Isn't that like Christian nationalism's version of sex?
that no Christian. Well, yes, yeah. Well, it depends if it's animal style. If it's animal
No,
style.
they don't do that.
No, not animal.
No, no,
Well,
they don't do that.
I'm just saying that it seems
That's
that
no,
the
no. It is tab A in slot B,
yeah. Yeah, all
missionary
right.
faction. Yeah.
Okay, but back to Trump. Trump. I think he really thought 4 to 5 days, and then 4 to 5 weeks, and now it could be whatever it takes. And every they
Well,
have
he
no
said that too. He did say
yeah
whatever it takes.
whatever it takes. Yes, I know. He has no. They've been saying so many things, all contradicted. Well, Rubio saying, well, Israel's going to go first, and they were going to attack us, so we had to go in,
Yeah, yeah.
which
That
doesn't
was
make
very
sense.
silly. and then,
Doesn't make sense.
and of
Oh
course,
yeah,
he didn't even consider what the likely response to his statement would be from the man. I mean, that was
yeah,
so stupid. You
yeah,
knew instantly as soon as that came out of Marco's mouth, you
yeah.
knew there was going to be a reaction from the man.
Yeah. Well, it's like, yeah. Well, we're doing it. We didn't. We forced their hand.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That's what he said. We forced their hand. And hey, look. And this
I
is
have
the
a I
thing.
have a comment about the we forced their hand.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Right. But
Okay,
I,
sorry.
I
I had to
just
bring it
think.
back to the
Yeah.
epi crowd,
Well,
the epi crowd.
I just think that right now they're saying so many different things. They don't know what they're doing clearly, and this is we voted for this, and it's like I said, it's like we're living in the COVID crisis, where we don't really know, and yet this is what we voted for. The majority of Americans want this. They want
Yeah,
this is the leadership, and
yeah, but they keep saying no, we didn't. They keep saying,
yeah,
insisting this is not what we voted for. Even
yeah,
MAGA is saying
yeah.
this is not what we voted for. Okay,
Well, then where's the Congress now saying, "Hey, let's stop it and let's reboot or let's reframe," because they're giving
no man,
him
you can't
carte
stop this.
blanche.
You can't stop it in midstream. Last
Yeah,
time we met, you asked what's next, and I said, look, it doesn't matter if they don't have a civilian leadership, because the
yeah,
real power is with the IRGC, right?
yeah,
I always call it the IRG. Sometimes I
yeah.
call it the RG, but and the military, and especially the Quds Force. And I'm really interested. I didn't mention Quds. It's
Yeah,
QUD, right? But
yeah,
it's pronounced Quds. I didn't mention the last time we spoke, and I should have, but
hmm,
that's a smaller group of people, but they're even more severe in terms of their abilities, right?
hmm,
And they specialize in overseas operations. So my question back then was, who's watching for for the integrity of our national defense right here? Who's
yeah,
watching that? Because the federal agents, right,
hmm,
from all departments, have been switched to being like ICERs. That's
yeah.
they're in ICE support, basically making it.
Right. DHS,
Oh,
which doesn't
we're
exist.
very. Oh man,
I mean,
it
DHS
is
doesn't
really bad.
exist until it's not funded. ICE still carries on, but
Yeah,
DHS has gotten so much money the last time out. It's now maybe equal or maybe even above the FBI.
yeah.
DHS. I mean, that's the real
They,
billions
they
of
they
dollars.
have gotten funded more than the Marines.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I mean,
if you break it down and you look at the funding for different military, areas, or they've gotten funded with more funding than some of the specific armed forces.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I
crazy.
mean, it's really astounding when you think of it. And then to go to the story of the day, really, Kristi Noem's firing, which was really strange. When the news comes out, Donald Trump puts it out on Truth Social, everyone jumps on it. there's bulletins, people, the networks, if they weren't doing news, they come in, they're talking about on the Today Show, the third hour of the Today Show, they were showing a mentalist, and they break in this special report. And I said, oh, what kind of special report? When we're bombing Iran, what kind of special report can there be? And it's Kristi Noem's firing by Donald Trump. And she's speaking in Nashville, right? She's speaking in Nashville, doesn't mention it. And he gives her a little off ramp to say, oh, she's going to be head of some little invisible type of group that overlooks security. But it's just a way to like put her out to pasture. So what do you think? Were you surprised after the hearing this week that this would happen to her?
Oh no, not at all. I mean, it was a matter. It was only a matter of time.
Yeah.
And I had heard what was only a rumor as of 2 days ago that the president had been asking around the West Wing,
Hmm.
should I fire her? Should she
Hmm.
have to go? And you know what
Yeah.
the answer is going to be? Everybody wanted to get rid of her, man.
Yeah.
There was no, there was, it wasn't even an open secret. It was just a
Yeah.
running, let's,
Gag.
you know,
Running
direct,
threat. Running something.
it's a running
Running.
directive. It was,
Yeah.
everybody said, it's just, we got to get rid of her, man. Let's,
Well, the thing about Kristi Noem is she is a diva, right? She wanted and
That's
Trump
not much
picked
of a
her.
diva. She was digging on Lewandowski. She can't be too much of a diva.
Well, I'm just saying that Donald Trump put her. The reason he picked people was to make sure he had the face. He had uh, the spokespeople who would be him, uh, stand in for him to talk about all these nasty things happening at Department of Homeland Security or at the Department of Defense. With the war. So he's got Hegseth, the anchor. He's got Chrissy Nome with her fake eyelashes and fake lips. I mean, that's the only problem I have with Chrissy Nome's departure because she still had time on her eyelashes and fake lips. They hadn't fully expired yet. But I just
That eyelash thing is going to get you in trouble if you're
yeah, no,
really
no,
critical of that. There's many of the women in Congress and
the,
that have an eyelash thing going.
yeah, but they didn't rock it like she did. I mean, that was her thing. The over feminized fake eyelash, fake lip thing, and uh,
She earned the nickname
yeah,
Ice Barbie. Ice
yeah,
Barbie.
Ice Barb, yeah, and I think this is the thing about Trump. Trump picked these people, Hegseth, Christine Nome, picked them, for their not because they could manage these huge multi-million dollar departments in the government, but because they could be spokespeople and they could Trump could funnel his ideas through them, but they were totally unqualified. And her departure proves one thing, that Donald Trump loves affirmative action for white people. And it's a failure. It's a failure. It failed. It's a failed. And so
Well, you
she
left out when you mentioned Higseth and Nome, you got
mhm.
to mention Bondi as well. But I
Oh,
that's kind of
I'm sorry.
coincidental.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I did wait, but back to Bondi. I didn't mean to leave her out. I just felt like I should have mentioned Bondi. I could have mentioned Tulsi Gabbard, but I didn't want to pile on yet. I mean, there'll be Bondi will have her moment.
well, she's getting called, right? She's getting a
Yeah,
subpoena, so it's cool.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, well, you didn't mention directly appearance value. He
Hmm.
was picking people because they were TV presentable.
Yeah, I said that. I said that they wanted to be the mouth, the
No,
face of the.
that spokesperson is what you said. They can
Yeah,
be spokespeople, but
yeah.
there's a lot of people who could talk, but they don't have high appearance value.
All right.
These people had high appearance value.
Yeah, I'm not saying they were Ari Fleischer. They weren't Ari Fleischer. They weren't Sean Spicer. I
Yeah,
That's what I meant. They were the anchor people. They were going to be his anchor people of Trump Fox News. You
sure,
know, there they
sure.
were. And
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
Ari
probably
Fleischer.
Foxy
Look, I
News.
don't want to dump on Ari
It's
Fleischer
going to
because
be
he
Foxy News. Foxy News.
Foxy News. Yeah,
Yeah.
Foxy. So yeah, all right. So Chrissy Nome, no surprise, she's out. She uh, she should have been sent banished to Minneapolis or something. That would have been great.
Ooh,
Have her walk the street
ooh.
and give
Whoa,
everyone
whoa.
a chance to lash back at her. We want you to walk through Minneapolis and let them know exactly what they think of you, Christy.
Okay, I remember a story like that, and it involved a white horse and naked.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Oh
Lady
yeah,
Godiva,
yeah. Oh, that's it. That's it.
Lady
I
Godiva,
always
yeah,
I always think about chocolates now, though. It's a
yeah.
problem.
Well, so all right, so Chrissy Gnome's out. Marquane Mullen is the guy they want in. And they're talking about his qualifications. Now, this is another form of affirmative action.
Yeah,
Marquane
he's in
Mullen.
Congress. He's
I
in Congress. He's a representative
Hey,
from
wait.
Oklahoma.
He's a senator.
Oklahoma.
He's a senator. He also was a former mixed martial artist, MMA guy, wrestler. Mark Wayne Mullen. He owned a business, a small business, plumbing business. I got nothing against plumbing businesses, but we're talking about the Department of Homeland Security here, and the threat's real. The threat's major league, and you're going to put some. If it was Emil Guillermo Filipino, plumbing supplier, plumbing entrepreneur, would I get a shot to be head of Homeland Security? No, they wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
No, yeah. But Marquay Mullen, he's a senator. Yeah, that means that he'll be easily
Yeah.
put through.
Yeah.
Easily pass. But what are his qualifications to be Department of Homeland Security head?
Yeah. Well. When you take martial arts,
Oh yeah, yeah.
the philosophy of martial arts
Hmm.
is self defense.
Yeah,
You're not supposed to use it in an aggressive fashion. It's supposed to be defensive
yeah,
and only for people who are being attacked.
yeah.
And yourself, your family,
Mhm.
and members of the general public. So
Yeah.
you're not supposed to act unless the situation is very dire and it calls for it. And then
Well,
you're supposed to use minimal force.
I hope he brings something. I mean, he's
Well, that's
obviously,
traditional martial arts. If you're
yeah,
talking to MMA and wrestling, no, that's out the window.
right. Right. When wrestling, he'd need a script, right? He'd
Yeah,
need a
yeah,
script,
you do. And
and
the point is to do as exaggerated kinds of actions,
mhm,
offensive actions, right?
mhm, mhm.
That create the greatest appearance of high risk injury. That's the whole idea. It's a sensationalization
so so
of combat, right?
so that the other folks would back off. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that would be if it was defensive, but if you're doing wrestling, that's demonstrative.
Oh,
That's performance. Okay, and the
but like,
performance means that it has to be as vicious in appearance and as likelihood to create a high risk of injury
yeah,
as possible. That's the way it's got to look. And
Dan,
actually, people do get injured very
yeah.
badly because it's hard to fake that stuff and not actually cause a problem.
But Dan, you said it exactly. That's precisely how I compose my demeanor
Run on, calm, cool, but
to
able to dispose of the threat
maximum
at the threat.
maximum damage. Yeah,
Well,
maximum.
oh, yeah. Once again, traditional martial arts. I one of the things that really impressed me about a couple of sensei that I met in my youth was they said if you ever have to use what you're learning, you've
Mhm.
already lost. You've already
Yeah.
lost. And of course,
Then
that's the philosophical side. It means that you didn't have the wisdom to avoid the confrontation
mhm.
and find another way
Yeah.
of solving the problem.
Yeah. Well, that's true, and that's not Trump's way. That's not Trump's way.
Nope,
And and
unfortunately,
it-
well, that's the culture. That's
yeah,
American culture at this point.
yeah, yeah. And the only thing about Mark Wayne Mullen is he's going to pass. He's going to get the job. I just wonder how it's going to look when he puts on the fake eyelashes and the big and the big lips. You know, he gets the big lips going. And it'd be like, we'll never miss Kristi. As soon as he puts on the fake eyelashes and the big lips, we'll think it's the same because it's all
Yeah,
coming out of Trump.
I'm going to take a good look at his face when we're done today, and because you've got my imagination rolling now,
Oh
man.
yeah, we're gonna do a before and after because if Mark Wayne Mullen has gets that little Botox thing going,
Well, I like the
and
fact that there's going to be a vacancy in the Senate for a moment, and that the governor gets to, of course, replace him with somebody. But see, the neat thing is that means that the replacement is not going to have incumbency power, right?
right.
Come November, and so there's a possibility there that maybe a great Democratic candidate, could win.
Hey, so this Mark Wayne Mullen, he's Texas, right?
No, Okie
Oh,
Okie,
he's Oklahoma.
just
Oh,
north.
okay. So he's
Yeah,
just north of there. Yeah, Oklahoma. I met some people from Tulsa.
yeah.
I know some people from Oklahoma who moved to Texas. Yeah, uh, I don't know. I don't know, but what about the Texas primary? That's all messed up.
Woo!
I
Is
mean,
that
we
good or
we
what?
I thought it was strange when they had all the starts and stops and what are we going to count and what are we not going to count. And I think it shows that Republicans are willing to play all sorts of games in order to disrupt the electoral process. I think
Oh
it's
yeah,
too bad about Jasmine Crockett losing. I think Tallarico's okay. A lot of my friends, I'm actually mixed. I have a lot of friends who loved Tallarico, who live in Austin, and that's where he ran up the vote. Right? I
yep.
know people who knew Tallarico's family, and I just. I had a feeling that he could pull it out in I mean, he came out of nowhere, right? It's the pace makes a race, the last minute surge. Jasmine Crockett, I was a little disappointed because she really kind of petered out, and she wasn't. She ran it up in her, in Dallas, where she's from. She ran it up in Houston, the big urban. And I lived in both cities, Dallas and Houston. I can see, but this is the way to win. You run up wherever you can, right? Get 90% to 10, 90-10, and then lose in all the other areas, and you become the person. She didn't do enough, and she lost. Not really handily. It was pretty close, but she didn't do enough in the big state. She only won by like 75-25 in her big home,
Around Dallas,
in Houston.
around
Yeah,
Dallas. Yeah.
Dallas. And you need to run it up 90-10. You got to go 100 essentially 100% to 1 in the major cities, and then you
Well,
forego all
why do
the
you
other
think
places.
that happened? You mentioned her campaign,
Yeah.
but I think it was more than just her campaign, and she did seem to lose steam, particularly after Tallarico's appearance.
Oh yeah, on the Late
Well,
Show.
his stifled appearance
Yeah.
that turned a YouTube sensation, right? I mean,
Yeah.
more
Well,
people watched his interview with
yeah.
Colbert on YouTube than they would have if they just let him appear on Colbert's show.
All right, but the bottom line really in all this is the amount of money Tallarico raised. I thought Jasmine Crockett had a chance, and maybe she petered out, and maybe that was why she lost. But then I saw the numbers of how much money he raised versus her, and oh my God, it's not even funny.
No,
She was
no,
outraged. She
no.
was outraged so much that
He is pretty much. If I was going to make up a candidate that I thought could win in
yeah,
Texas, it would
yeah,
be him. It
yeah.
would have
Well, yeah.
his credentials.
The evangelist wants to be a pastor. Did he serve in the military? I think.
I don't think so.
No, no, no. Now that's the only thing I would have added if he was a member of the Army Reserve or something like that,
Right,
and
right.
then he'd be ideal. If he had military service, religion, and you're white, then you're golden. You're golden. Or you could be someone like I think Tammy Duckworth is the ideal candidate. She's injured, veteran, uh, but she's Asian, and the but part is that she's a woman, and I think that ultimately sank Jasmine Crockett. The misogyny in politics sinks you. If you're not, I mean, it's going to be racism or it's going to be misogyny or both. It sank, it sank, it sank Kamala Harris, and I think
Right, right.
that's kind of what happened to her. It's too bad because when Jasmine Crockett was making her name, she was really, she was, I mean, she was boisterous. She
I
was
think she was.
loud, proud.
Yeah, well, see, that was the problem. That
She was in your face,
yeah. Well, she's going to hang. People are going to hang the angry black woman, you know,
Yeah,
label on her, and it works. Even
yeah,
though, she uh, was very telegenic, okay,
yeah,
and
hmm
and funny as hell. I mean, she was really
yeah,
humorful,
yeah.
and her. Remember when she got into the attacks on Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Oh
Marjorie
yeah,
Taylor
yeah. Oh
Greene
yeah, I remember those. Yeah,
criticized her eyelashes,
yeah.
and and
I didn't criticize her eyelashes, but
yeah, and
I mean,
Marjorie,
her eyelashes were in the right place. They weren't like on her tongue,
yeah.
like with
Oh
like with
no, oh
like
no,
with
I got another one for that, but I'm gonna let it go.
like Caroline Levitt. She puts her fake eyelashes on her tongue. So tongue
Oh
lashes.
man,
They're
yeah,
tongue lashes.
that actually it's a purposeful act, but we can't talk about that on
Yeah.
family television.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. So back to Jasmine Crockett. She's out. Al Green lost.
Yeah.
And so the two firebrands on the left who spoke out got punished. And it's sad because I don't know, what's going to happen. Where do they end up? I guess their careers are over. But this is what happens when you speak out. And it's too
Yeah,
bad.
she can run again in the future. I mean,
Yeah.
she can run again. It depends on whoever whoever wins in her congressional district, right?
Yeah.
But and obviously Governor Abbott,
Mhm.
gets to name somebody
Yeah.
temporary, and that's going to be
Yeah.
an hassle.
I mean, there are all these changes, people deciding, like the guy from Montana deciding he's not going to run for Senate. And they're trying to play these games because, uh, you know, here's what I think. This is my theory about what's going on. And I noticed this when I was in Washington in the 80s. When I first got there in 89, thought that if you're an outsider looking in at Washington, you think everyone's, duking it out. They're at fisticuffs. They hate each other, right? It's
Yep.
war, right? You go in there and everyone's a friend. I went to work there for Norm Mineta, and I was surprised that Mr. Mineta reached across the aisle so many times that that he didn't really uh, distinguish left and right. They were all members of Congress. They were working together, very collegial, and that's the way it should be. That's the way you get things done. And but me, outsider, coming in, seeing, well, why are we doing this? Why? And I think it's the influx of these outsiders because people prefer the outsiders. Oh, they're not a part of Washington. They changed Washington. They made it so combative. So now nothing gets done. Everything is so gridlocked, and that gridlock started 89, 90, 91, and it's carried on through now for at least for a generation now, right? We're like 2026,
Yeah.
25 years, and now everyone thinks, so that's the way Washington is. But I heard someone report today when Mark Wayne Mullen, a conservative, got the tab to be the Department of Homeland Security. There was a very liberal congressman going up to him at the end, shaking his hand, congratulating, because they're buddies. There's still a kind, that exists a little bit, but for the public, what they show to the people, it's we're at loggerheads, we're at combat, we're at war, and it's the outsiders coming in that that are really fostering this new, relatively new idea of Washington, and that the outsiders have to go, and the insiders, the people in the swamp, have to go. And look what happens: you replace the old swamp rats with new swamp rats. Same old swamp rat, right? Same old swamp rat.
It's actually worse. It's actually worse now,
Yeah, yeah, and that,
because the people are not arguing. One side, particularly, is not
yeah.
arguing on the basis of principle. They're
Well,
they're arguing only to manipulate the general public,
Yeah.
only to do one thing as a primary objective, and that's keep their seat.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the primary. If that's the primary objective, and you have somebody like Trump that can say a couple of words and ruin your career, you
Yeah.
can understand exactly what's going on now.
Yeah.
So
I,
there's no people try to do the both sides ism argument, and that for me is 80% wrong. Okay,
yeah.
there's very little about the both sides argument. Both sides do it.
Yeah, I
Argument
don't
that
like the
really
both sides argument either, but it's the both sides thing. Well, first of all, it's not really relevant. You know, to talk about, well, both sides do it, and you talk about something that the other side did 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Let's talk about now. Let's talk about what's the dynamic now. That's what's one thing.
well,
You
and
know,
also,
another.
yeah, but the logic of both sides do it is that you accept that they do bad things. I mean, that's
Yeah.
stupid.
Oh,
That
that's true.
is
That's true also.
right at the roots.
Yeah, that's true also. How about, and there's so many different like illogical things that come up, like um and when, like, in talking about, we're only like 5 days into the war, right? Only
Oh man,
five.
it's hard to
And
believe, huh?
it seems like decades, right? Because it seems like, shouldn't the Olympics still be fresh? Shouldn't the idea of, like, Cash Patel holding up his cell phone talking to Donald Trump in the men's hockey locker room, that should be the thing we're making fun of still? No, I mean, now we've moved on. We've moved
Yeah,
on, and it's
right before he sprayed everybody with the beer out of his mouth.
oh yeah, oh, I
Uh,
didn't I
you
didn't
know,
I didn't
I
see
mean,
that
this
one.
guy, I get,
He was
I mean, he he acted like he was still in high school, man. I didn't do stuff that stupid when I was in high school.
he plays hockey. He plays in an adult hockey league. I mean, this guy, that's why that's why he took the FBI jet, there. And that's what got Kristi Noem in trouble, right? That she was, buying these expensive planes, and she was
No,
doing all
she
these
wanted to buy
things.
the plane. She wanted
Oh,
that.
she didn't buy the
No,
plane.
she didn't buy
Oh,
it.
oh,
She
the
was
the
asking
thing
for money to buy it.
the thing that got her in trouble was the $220 million contract for the self deportation
That's right.
ads. And then she said, she blamed Trump. She said Trump okayed it, and then Trump said, I didn't okay it. I didn't,
Mhm.
because he's only spending 30. I guess the first 100 hours, 3.7 billion. He's only spending 3.7 billion the first 100 hours of the war. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You know,
so
it's this is the combination a long time ago when the Epstein thing started really getting hot,
mhm.
at least a year ago now. You said, "Is this going to be the thing?" You asked that question, right? Is
Yeah.
this going to be the issue that finally gets Trump?
Yeah,
Turned.
right, right. We were talking about
And,
what is it that makes people
and
go against them?
I said, yeah, people. I said it's a distraction from other problems that actually represent a greater threat
Hmm.
to American national security, etc. Right, like
Hmm.
Ukraine and everything, and NATO, all those kinds of issues. And so it might be the issue that breaks him, but it's not the issue that we should be paying attention to. That's
Yeah,
that's the ugly part of all of this, right? And so now the Epstein thing has become, it appears, a top fear, just an absolute fear on Trump's part. I mean, personal. It's
mhm.
personal, and it's really fear generating. So much so that he wants to go ahead and do what Netanyahu wants him to do, because it'll get us. I'll be a hero. I can be a hero. Not only
Yeah,
can we get rid of this leadership in Iran, but I can be a hero. Okay, so here it is. Here's where we are.
yeah, Dan.
It's not going to nullify the Epstein stuff at all. That's still
Yeah.
going to happen.
Well, that's the thing. The Epstein thing does not go away. It still unifies the country. It still points out the problem with, American politics and the American elite, the problems in our democracy, and I just, I just don't see it as going away. Although we mentioned first because this happened on the heels of Bill and Hillary Clinton, testifying, and the call was, "Oh, I guess we'll hear from Trump next, right?" And then, "Oh no, not if we have a war. Not if we have a war."
Comer,
Hey,
I like Comer's explanation, man. It's look, look, Mr. Trump has answered so many questions. These questions have been put to him incessantly,
yeah,
for
yeah,
ever
yeah.
since his first term. These questions, and he answers them all. He answers them all. So there's
Oh yeah,
no need to have him in front of Congress.
yeah. See, that's the price. That's the price we pay
Yeah.
for having elected this guy in the first place.
Yeah,
And
yeah, the people who live or die by him now, right?
mm,
Were there before him, and
yeah,
so we had a problem already. Okay,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just that
yeah,
this guy exacerbated the problem beyond people's weirdest dreams, right, or
yeah,
nightmares. You know?
yeah. That's for sure. Hey, Dan. I have friends in Israel. Not the friends we have in common. Other friends. I have other friends in Israel
Yeah.
who have sent me things about Filipinos in Israel
Okay.
or the Filipino Israeli connection. And did you know that the Philippines under Quezon, President Quezon, I think
They
it was
help.
Quezon,
They help people
what
out.
he was the first. The Philippines was the first to allow Holocaust refugees.
That's right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I guess that's why they have a big Filipino Jewish, well, relatively big Filipino Jewish community in the Philippines. But this is one thing I also found out: the first temple in the Philippines, the first Jewish temple in the Philippines, was in the 40s. Temple Emil.
Oh, did not know that.
Seriously,
Did not know
Temple
that.
Emil for a guy named
Is
for
it?
one
Is
of
it?
the
Where is it located? Is it in Manila?
I don't, I'm going to have to go back to the article, but a friend of mine, sent it to me, and I was just stunned by Temple Emil, named for one of the early leaders of that group to come from the Holocaust. I thought, my friend was going to send me an article about, Filipinos in
There was actually
Israelis.
a documentary done on this, and I saw the documentary. Now I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
heard mention of that because I was invited to one of Linda's friends,
yeah,
and she invited Quezon, a person who's actually related
uh-huh,
to Manuel Quezon. Um, and we discussed his tenure as president, and one of the mentions that came up was them arranging to admit um, Holocaust refugees to the
hmm,
Philippines.
yeah. I mean, it's really, I think it's sort of. I mean, when I saw that, and I saw it in the it was an article by Michael Freund, and the first synagogue was in the Philippines, dedicated in 1924, and named for communal leader Emil Backrack.
Oh,
And
oh, that's cool.
yeah, yeah. So it goes way, way, way back,
Just draw
and
nines, nine in a face card.
yeah.
That
So
that
there,
that correct?
no, no, no. But this, but Emil Backrack.
Hmm.
After Temple Emil was destroyed during the war, the community rebuilt with help from the U.S. Army and renamed it Beth Yaakov, preserving Jewish life in the archipelago. So it
And
was
Manila,
destroyed.
in all probability, it was in Manila or in the area of Manila. I just can't,
Yeah.
But when I stay in Manila, I often stay very close at a neighborhood that's very close to Temple Street.
Hmm.
In fact,
In L.A. No,
in
in
Manila, in Manila,
Manila. That's right, Temple Street.
yeah.
There are Temple Streets everywhere. There's Temple in L.A. Temple in
Hmm.
okay, all right.
And Filipinos, that was a Filipino neighborhood. It was like
So
Temple Street was like the equivalent of Kearny Street
yeah, so
for
and so
Filipinos
they
in
had
LA.
They had Filipino Jews there, or just Jewish people
I
there
don't know.
selling. selling diamonds and
I don't know. I only met one Filipino Jew, and who was considering he was considering becoming Muslim because
oh boy,
he saw business opportunities in Zamboanga,
yeah.
and down in Mindanao.
Well, I mean, you've got to be
Religion is so mercantile
yeah,
for some people.
right, right, and yeah, I mean, because there's Chinese Filipinos, yeah, Filipino Jews. How did they get there? Everyone thinks that
Oh man.
everyone thinks the Philippines is so homogenous, but it's more diverse than you think.
When people tell me about their DNA stories and they get their surprises, I've
Yeah.
I've had several mention that the big surprise was Native American, that they had some Native
Uh,
Americans, some kind of trace, but
mm,
and they said that it's got to be related to the galleon trade and all that, and that's the most
mm.
logical explanation, right?
But
I'm kind of
no,
envious because all my stuff just comes back Malay and Chinese, and that's all.
uh, yeah, mine is mostly just Filipino. Just,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, and a little bit of Spanish, but mostly all Filipino. I mean,
They don't
we
even
didn't we
mention
didn't mix.
Spanish. I got to check the other side, but the other side, I mean, they all look Chinese as hell. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
the mom's
We
side.
got some of my other relatives that have Chinese and Japanese and
I got I
anyway.
got some Nordic stuff. I got something from around the Nordic countries. It was Norse for sure, but
Mm,
yeah, it was kind of strange. And 9 point something percent Japanese. So
hmm.
there you go.
All right. Say, look, we,
Anyway,
we need to talk one more thing coming up.
well,
If we're
I
gonna do
wanted
this.
to talk about the
Oh,
experience
I'm
that
sorry. You're right. You're
yeah.
right. Let's talk about. We talked about Department of Homeland Security, and this is all under Kristi Noem. What things that are happening to immigrants,
Yeah.
around the country. We have people being shot. We have people. I mean, we hear about those, right? Like in
Well,
Chicago, they
and
go in.
and well, but the policies that are affecting people were
Mhm.
actually set up during the Doge period
Oh
when
yeah.
Musk was in charge of all that.
Hmm.
And a very good friend of mine who's also a professor. He's at this point associate professor
Hmm.
at a one of the community colleges
Hmm.
in the Delta area, and he uh, posted a story on his Facebook account. I'm not going to disclose his name or the family's
Yeah.
name
You
because
don't have to.
I haven't asked him. But
You don't have to.
I've given enough description so that a lot of people who follow us, either of us, will know who that is. But
Hmm.
um, his Lola is about to turn 107.
Hmm. Hmm.
107, man.
Ooh,
And
wow,
so
107. That's all. That's
107. And so Social Security sent her a notice saying that you've got to satisfy the requirements for identification,
hmm.
and you haven't, been to the offices or done anything in response to our requests, and so we're going to terminate your benefits unless you come in and to the office physically. You had to
Hmm.
come into the office physically, bring all of your documents, and that's an absolute requirement. She's bedridden most of the time. She the picture of her that is online shows
Hmm.
her in the back of an ambulance on a gurney with probably saline solution, IV, a drip IV of some sort, and they took her to the Social Security offices in that condition to be able to satisfy their requirements. Now,
Hmm.
obviously, that's a stressful situation. She's 107 years old. She's under all kinds of medication, and there she was in a gurney. That is the DHS.
Hmm. Wow.
That's
See,
Social Security, and those rules
yeah.
apply to everybody.
Yeah.
So, that is obviously what some people are going to say is an extreme case. I don't think so. I don't
Yeah.
think. I think her specific condition may be seen as extreme,
Hmm.
But the reality is, the same requirements that forced her to suffer that
Hmm.
apply to everybody else as well. So all older people, all people who have any kind of mobility issues, right, are going to
Hmm.
suffer the same kind of treatment at the hands of this administration and at the hands specifically of Social Security Administration and DHS. That's that's just one example. And if you can, do you need to have a hyper imaginative mind to be able to accept the image of millions of people being that affected? Okay. And we have gotten no coverage of
Yeah.
that in the news. You got to know millions of people have to have been affected by this.
Well, every now and then you'll see a story that does break through. Usually it involves, like bureaucratic snafus, or involves something like, well, I mean, the more sensationalistic ones, ICE, or Border Patrol shooting up people, dragging them from the car, alleging that they were struck by the car when they were striking the car, like that woman who was shot by she got 5 bullets, 7 holes, and the
The guy
Border
bragged
Patrol
about it.
bragged about it. Yeah, I mean, you hear about those stories. You hear about stories like the bunny, the bunny kid, and being sent away with his father to a detention camp. I mean, it's really hard to make news, and sometimes, well, number one, it's got to be reported. The news has to say yay or nay to it. But number two, it's got to get past those gatekeepers to say, oh, this is worth telling. And if we fortunately with social media we can bypass all that, and we could talk about it here, right? You could
Yep.
talk about it
Yep.
here, you could talk about it in your friend's Facebook page, or his social media, and then people, this becomes part of the litany of things that outrage us about DHS. DHS isn't just, it's not some Washington bureaucracy. It was Kristi Noem became the face for the policy, and also the face she made herself, right? The face, and she's
She,
willing to
she,
do
she wanted to be seen and understood as the executive who was not only in charge, but who was actively policing the
right.
enforcement, the enforcement of the policies.
Yeah, she
And
was the badass with the machine gun, right? The semi-automatic.
oh
She was the
man, fully automatic. She
was
was
it?
she was holding M16s.
Yeah, she was the
You
she
know
wanted to be that.
when she showed up in uniform and all that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think they gave her an AR-15. A semi.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
she was holding the equipment that Border Patrol and some of the ICE people were using, right?
yeah,
Especially
and
Border
and
Patrol.
all the neighborhood dogs ran away and hid. And
Yeah,
there she was.
yeah.
I mean,
Or
I just can't believe how she came on so strong, and everyone thought, oh, did people really think that this was okay? I mean, when you ask the question why, and you talk about your friend's situation, how did ICE become so um, inhumane? How did it become so unkind? How did it become so unreasonable? I mean, it was Trump, right? Trump said, "We're not reasonable. You're illegal."
that's it. The whole
You're,
rationale is if you're here and undocumented, you're illegal, and it doesn't. But see, what people have started to understand is that a whole lot of the people that have been held and even
Mhm.
deported, okay, were
Weren't
not
illegal.
illegal.
Yeah,
They were
weren't
they were
illegal.
actually present legally,
Yeah,
and of course, some of them were citizens, or actual citizens.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's bad. I mean, we all of the this war is a major distraction from all of the things that are so important domestically, and
yeah.
we need to put the war in its place, and and
And
and pay attention to all of the issues.
but here's the thing: Donald Trump has set himself up as, when he says nothing but my moral authority,
Oh man,
right? He's the moral authority. He's the moral authority now. He's he is the one man demigod, one man cultist, and that's what we have here. And because he's it,
Yeah,
he's it, and we're in trouble when he's it, and even and when the evangelicals, say, yeah, he's it, he's our guy. I know when
you have to
is
go all the way back to like the Civil War and post bellum period to find all of the corruption, right, that was going
yeah
on. And then when you think about it, it's hard to imagine that even that stuff was as bad as what we have now. What we have right now is just incredible. If you're a person who appreciates history at all,
mm,
even the high school history when they taught American history, and they
yeah
talked about some of the old scandals, right?
mm,
Uh, this just is beyond anything that you could possibly imagine even if you're a student of that period, if you're a
yeah
student of the period right before the depression, and also the depression times corruption that occurred because of things like the prohibition against alcoholic beverages, right?
Yeah. Well, what we have now with this war, this illegal, unconstitutional war, to add to the list of all the other things that are illegal and unconstitutional, we have this huge cover for everything else that is like flying under the radar.
That's right.
It
That's right.
happens. It's allowed. It's allowed to happen because we have this other thing that we are so worried about, and we don't know how to do it. But it's like open season down here for everything else, and it's it's only enabled because of Trump. Trump is the enabler of the corrupt and of the scammers, and
Yeah.
that's our world.
Yeah.
That's the society.
Yeah. And it's going to take a whole lot of work to repair the damage. And then we really have to be moving in the direction of prevention. You got to make sure this doesn't happen again. Okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and that means not only accountability
mm,
and penalties, accordingly, but it
mm.
also means really progressive legislation.
Oh
You have
yeah,
to be able to anticipate the kinds of uh, activities that people do that
mm,
are not now at this point illegal. We have to be
yeah,
specific instead of relying on traditional interpretation of the emoluments clause, and that
mm,
people will stay within the boundaries, right, of the
mm,
emoluments clause, however that's defined. We have to have specific legislation that says this stuff, these kinds of actions, this kind of trading, right, is
mm.
illegal, and it's
Yeah,
punishable as a felony. You got to lay
yeah,
it out there, okay? And
yeah,
I'm waiting to
yeah.
see if
Because people relied on the Constitution in that emoluments clause,
that's
and
right.
they relied on it the first his first term, and nothing happened. Although people talked about it, that's how most people began to say, "Oh yeah, emoluments. That's what that means. That's there it is." And now it's been mentioned, and they can do nothing. So the only answer in this 250th year of our Constitution is
That
to
is the
say,
worst part of this all.
"Yeah,
We want to celebrate the 250th year in the most positive ways possible, but
yeah,
when you look at the reality of the corruption, the open corruption
yeah,
and graft that is going on right now
yeah,
in American politics, in American society generally, if
mm,
you're looking at the really obvious right
mm,
distance between everyday Americans, all of the classes, all the way up to the upper middle class, and then you look at the people who really have the greatest influence on the political process, the legal processes in American society, it's the billionaires, and that's one of the refreshing things about Tallarico. He talks about class war, and he
yeah,
says, "Yeah, we've been the victims of class war for generations on generation, and the billionaires are winning, and it's
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
obvious,
yeah,
right?"
yeah."
And
Well,
he then brings in Jesus, and he says
yeah,
Jesus flipped over the tables. He was calling when he cast the merchants out of the temple, right?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
we have the billionaires have it their way, and if they get all of the media, and if the Paramount Plus thing goes through, and they own everything, uh, where are people yelling, monopoly? Where's the people yelling, uh, yeah, it just seems that you got a deal, there's a price,
that's right.
and the price is our democracy, and it's for sale, and
Well,
it's just,
yeah.
yeah, I don't want to leave on a downer. It's just that the situation is bad. There is hope, but the hope, because we've been through this, and we've been through these
Well,
anti-monopoly, monopoly, anti-monopoly, and we've been through.
Tallarico, and Crockett,
Mm,
and people like them are the hope. They're
yeah,
younger. They're standing on principle, right?
yeah,
And we've got to rally behind them and encourage other people to run for office. Um,
yeah,
we gotta. That's the only way this is going to work. You got to have more people with class backgrounds that count. I'm not counting Newsom out. I think you think he has a shot. I think it's going to be difficult. Uh, he obviously has a shot. I think he could handle it. He's been the governor of California during a time of extreme international relations exigencies, right?
yeah.
Because of the tariffs, among other things. And so I think he can handle it. I think he handled national politics really well, and I think he expresses major concerns in a way that the everyday people can understand. He
Yeah,
articulates well.
I think you're right. I think he can handle it, but he may have peaked too soon. We
Yeah,
are so far away from, who knows what's going to happen in 28, uh, let alone 26. And what's her name? Kamala Harris is talking about running again.
yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen. There, it could be someone else. Now, who knows how how the kind of bump that Tallarico gets if he wins? Who knows the kind of bump that say Ruben Gallego gets? If he continues to do well.
Hmm.
So it's and then we got all those firebrands out of Memphis, right? Who've emerged, and other uh, young congressional leaders. I haven't even mentioned AOC.
Yeah.
She's me, and Norm Mamdani.
We
Yeah.
got a half Filipino down there that is originally from Oakland,
Oh
so
yeah,
he
yeah,
knows his
yeah.
stuff.
Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson.
Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, smart. He's really smart, very articulate, really,
Yeah.
really good, really good.
Yeah.
Gonna have to
So.
ask him what his favorite food is.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. He's from Vallejo, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Vallejo, Oakland. But he's yeah, and then he went to Memphis. I talked to him briefly. I know some people know him. We never we didn't connect. We were supposed to just connected by email, but yeah, he's another young guy. We got to hope for that. Um, I'm doing a thing tomorrow where I say that humor helps us get out of our funk,
absolutely.
because if we can, because as I see it, humor is the recalibration. So anyway, it's something I'm doing tomorrow at the American Community Media uh, group. So
Where?
it's going to be. I'll give you a thing that you can register. Um, I'll. It's American Community Media is what they're called, and I should give. I should put their It's a briefing, and it is. Let's see. There's a registration thing here. Uh, I'll send you the email. And
Okay.
for people interested in going, it's American. Just Google American Community Media, and you'll see it. It's I'm going to be there. Herbert Seguenza, who's with Culture Clash,
Oh yeah.
and
Boy, that
Samson Cook.
that's back. That's a way back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're still doing it. They're still at, and then Samson Collector, who is he's the co-founder of the Desi Comedy Fest.
Oh,
Uh, and actually, I was on stage with them yesterday at a comedy thing, and
what is this thing, man? All of a sudden, there's a lot of Desi comedians.
well, no, no, they've always been there. They've just like people suddenly knows. Oh, they're Filipino comedians. I think it's the algorithm. If you put the algorithm in that you're watching either Desi comedians or Filipino, they just pop up in your social media. But
Yeah,
they're there. It's just there's Samson Collector has been doing stuff for years out of Oakland, and so anyway, nice guy. We'll see him tomorrow.
all
Um,
right.
Anyway, so
So we can be hopeful, and we
yeah,
can we can find some happiness and understanding. My understanding is, like I said, the Democrats that voted, down the war resolutions, war powers
yeah,
resolution. That is not necessarily a bad thing. Their logic is clear. It's a very principled stance. We're
yeah,
in it, and there's no stopping in between. We have to finish depleting the resources and abilities of the Iranians, or else they're just going to keep shooting at people. It's as
yeah,
simple as that.
yeah. But the finishing it could be years. It could be this is the forever war business, as I put it. And begin,
Yeah,
and I say forever war because you can say, oh, it'll last 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. It's still relatively, forever war is forever war, and it's because someone, the president of the United States, did not feel like America had enough leverage on Israel or Iran to get to peace. There was no willingness to try peace. I mean, you send your son-in-law and your real estate buddy to negotiate. That's not a negotiation, right? That's like sending. I mean, that's
Yeah.
not. Well, it's a negotiation to see what kind of deal we can get
Yeah,
after
we're
all this
gonna
is
do. That's
over.
exactly right.
Yeah,
It's a business deal. It ain't about the reality of politics and
yeah,
real international relations, right? It's not about that.
yeah. And
Uh,
that was the problem. That was the problem with that.
oh yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Anyway,
Well, all right, Dan. Listen,
I
we'll,
appreciate
we'll talk to you
you
again
having me
as
on. Um,
things come up. We'll jump on it. I always appreciate you coming on.
uh,
So
and I think you're very thoughtful, and I'm hopeful that we don't have as many connection problems with the internet. My
yeah,
signal is really weak right now, but we made it.
yeah, we made it. We made it. Okay, all right. There he goes,
All right, man.
Daniel Phil
Thank you.
Gonzalez,
All
College of
power.
Ethics
All
Studies,
power.
College of Ethics Studies, Asian American Studies. My good friend, and we talk all the time. Oh, and the thing, Dan, I gotta get you on here one more time.
Well,
Dan, we're gonna be at the library. We're gonna be at the
yes,
library.
in May,
May 2nd,
May
Saturday, May
second,
2nd
May
at 2
second.
o'clock, and we'll talk about stuff. We'll talk mostly some historical things about you think the feds are tough on Asians and other people and immigrants and Filipinos now. What were they like in the
Sure,
20s? Oh
sure,
man. Oh,
sure.
this is paradise, right?
20s, and then the post World War II Cold War era.
Yeah.
People are unfamiliar with that as well. In fact, one of the biggest cases involving Filipino union leaders and members,
Mhm.
where they were prosecuted by the feds during the McCarthy era, and
Yeah.
the case was dealt with right here in San Francisco, the federal court, and the
Yeah.
Filipinos won. The
What what
Filipinos won.
what case was that?
It was a prosecution of the ILWU
Oh
in
yeah, yeah.
1937,
Yeah.
based in Seattle, but in those days, the population on the West Coast was a lot smaller than it is now, and so
Mhm.
the Court of Appeal or the District Court was here. No, the Court of Appeal was here in San Francisco. That's what it was.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot to talk about how things were dealt with then, and of course, Dan and I, being sons of Monongs from the 1920s,
That's right.
we can have a perspective of how things were then with our family. So personal, political. It's on May the 2nd. Dan and I will be doing it at the San Francisco Public Library, 100 Larkin Street.
Yep.
Same place.
So we're going to make it interactive with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
audience. We'll make some simple statements, tell a couple of stories, and then
yeah,
open it up.
yeah, definitely. All
It'll be
right.
fun. It'll be fun. Last
I
time
think
was a good time.
yeah, it should. So May 2nd, mark it on your calendars. It's Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. It should be fun. All right, Dan. All right, take
All right.
care. My there's
All power.
there he
All
goes.
power.
There he goes. Daniel Phil Gonzalez, College of Ethnic Studies, Asian American Studies Professor Emeritus, San Francisco State University. I wanted to mention that because in case you're saying, "Oh, what am I doing in May?" What am I doing in May? How about what are you doing this weekend? Hey, I'm at the Fresno Arts Annex, 814 East Olive Avenue. There's there's your QR code. I'm doing my show, Emil Amok 69 or 69 Emil Amok, Saturday, March 7th, 12:30 p.m. Fresno Arts Annex. I do a show. It's about my Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, you'll want to see it. Yeah, I'm holding a QR code. There you go. And get that. Okay, so that's happening March 7th. Okay, March 7th. This is the very same festival that I was talking to Martin Dockery on this space yesterday about this show. Martin Dockery, he's at, if you go to FresnoRogueFestival.org and get ticket information on his show, he does three shows starting Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday night, it's tonight. I forget what show it is, but he does three shows. One's called Stakeout, 2-man show. One is called The Review, another 2-man show, and one is called Wonderlust. And Martin Dockery is a masterful storyteller, one of the best in the country. And it's rare that he comes to Fresno. I mean, it's rare that he gets out of New York, but he's in Fresno. And if you're close and want to say, well, where's Martin Dockery? Well, he's in Fresno at the Rogue. And go to FresnoRogueFestival.org. If you hear my dogs, they love Martin Dockery, my dogs. All right. What else? Oh, also, if you want to know what other shows are you doing, Emil, not to overload you with stuff, but I am doing a show called Emil Amok Anchorman, March 14th, 15th, and 16th, and on the 19th. It's a hour-long show. We talk about the state of the news, my relationship with the news, how the news is screwing us all, and how I got to my goal as anchorman. And a funny thing happened when I got to the anchor desk. Interesting show, I think. Funny. It's a comedy, real comedy, and so that means sometimes the pain shows. Sometimes the pain shows through. So now, one last thing. If you're interested in this thing tomorrow at 11 o'clock, what makes us laugh in dark times, humor as an antidote to fear, American Community Media has invited me to talk with a bunch of guys. Herbert Seguenza, who was a founding member of Culture Clash, Samson Kolektar, co-founder of the Desi Comedy Fest. Check it out. Go to American Community Media. Let's see, what is their email? I have an email, but what is their website? I guess if you just Google American Community Media and go for media briefing, it's a national media briefing, so they should be able to accept a handful of you. It's at 11 o'clock Pacific time, March 6th on Friday, so I hope you can come. It's free. Free. That's free. All right. Time to say thank you for joining me. I end these shows with a little, loving kindness. Sharon Salzberg, loving kindness. You got to have more than one meditation guru. She's one of those that I've studied with, and I appreciate her so much. Loving kindness. What is it? Well, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal Kita.